Hello and welcome to the Super Rugby quarterfinals preview brought to you by DrivingMaul. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best place rugby predictions and opinion. And there is no one more opinionated than the man who's joining me this evening, all the way from Reds country. Shane, how are you doing, sir?
How you going, Paul?
Not
Good to
bad
be on
at
the
all.
program.
So we have got, as I say, we've got the regular season out of the way, and it's now down to the finals. 7 teams down, 8 to go. 18 weeks of rugby to get rid of 7 teams. It seems like quite a lot, doesn't it? Really?
It's crunch time, Paul. We've got our 8. It took to virtually the last kick of the home and away season to get it, but we've got 8 teams, and hopefully they're as hungry as I am on a Friday night to get stuck into what is looking forward to 4 hopefully good games of rugby on the weekend.
Yeah, let's just quickly run through those 8 teams. So finishing in top place was the Crusaders, and we've known that for a while, haven't we? Then behind them came the Lions, who overtook the Waratahs. So they switched places, and the Lions climbed to second, the Waratahs in third. The Hurricanes held on to 4th seed, even though they lost to the Chiefs, who remained in 5th. Then the Highlanders stayed in 6th. Hagiwares stayed in 7th, and the Shox, as you say, at the death, managed to scrabble their way over the Rebels to claim a 8th and a final place. Which means that our 4 games this weekend, we start on Friday night with the Hurricanes versus the Chiefs, a repeat of what happened last weekend. We then have the Crusaders hosting the Sharks, so 1st versus 8th. We then head over to Sydney for the Waratahs hosting the Highlanders, and finally the Lions host the Hagiwares over in Joburg in South Africa. So, before we actually get into the games, which one of those is whetting the appetite the most for you, Shane?
I'm looking forward to the battle of the 2 cats, the Lions and the Jaguares. Battle of the South African heavyweights now, as they are, and the Argentinian lads that really have been the success story of Super Rugby this year. So it should be really a physical battle of the forwards.
Yep, that should be a cracking one. We also have the other one that went to website is that opening game, the Hurricanes versus the Chiefs, because it's very rare that we actually see 2 club sides play back-to-back games, and you wonder how much shadow boxing was happening last weekend, and how many more tricks will come out of the come from up the sleeve of the various magicians that'll be playing on Friday night. So I think those are the 2 that really whet the appetite from my point of view. So let's kick off with that one. Jeff Twemanga-Allen will bring up his 100th Super Rugby game for the Hurricanes, his 101st game for the Hurricanes, obviously with that extra game against the Lions in there. It's a good old innings by him, isn't it?
Yeah, he's done well, and you got to take your hat off to anybody that makes about 100 caps in Super Rugby, let alone when you get to the big boys that have played the 170s and even the Wyatt Crockett's that have made the 200 and above. So a fair old whack for JDA.
A fair old whack, and as you say, he starts alongside Riccatelli and Toby Smith in that front row, and they will have a lot of work to do because up front obviously is where a lot of this a lot of rugby games are decided, but this one no less so. Brad Shields is only bracketed. He may be missing, and Reed Prinsep might step in his place. Gareth Evans at 7, normally an 8, so a bit surprised to see him there. But obviously with Ardy Surveyor out with that ankle injury, really is they're not firing on all cylinders, are they? The Hurricanes.
Yeah, and but it shows that in with the New Zealand sides, they can fill in positions. They can work more than one position and fill in the gaps. So I have confidence that they'll pull off a shift in that.
Yeah, I think, but playing with
but Sevilla is a bit of a loss, yes.
Yeah, well, with Shields, Evans, and Thompson, you're talking about basically three. You're playing 3 8s or 3 6s, or 2 8s and a 6. Yeah, that breakdown battle is going to be a key area there because they don't have that natural fighter or the natural jackler, as some people like to say, in there. So I would keep an eye on the breakdown and see how many players the Hurricanes are throwing in there, because that's going to be a key point for them. Also, with Hooson having a bit of head knock last weekend, Geordie moves into 13, back into the centres rather than the fullback, and we have Julian Sevilla back on the wing with Ben Lamb and Milner Scudder. I mean, as always, this is a back line that, if it clicks, can rip anyone to pieces, isn't it?
It's the most exciting backline in the competition for me, Paul, when they really click, and it has been for the last 3 years. They're an excitement machine when they do some hard yards, and then it gets to those backs, and they are explosive, and they can cause havoc from anywhere.
They are. And if we look across their opponents, the Chiefs, again, another really exciting back line. I mean, Brad Weber showed that he's come back for his leg injuries perfectly well last weekend, showing some pace. Damon McKenzie is restored to the side with Charlie Nartai outside him and Anton Leonard-Brown. So you've got yourself there an All Blacks 9, 10, 12, 13 combination. Sean Stevenson, Sean Wainui, and Solomon Alamano. And Solomon, a player that quite a lot of people are saying should be or is challenging for that All Blacks squad. So again, a very exciting back line that can play.
I love watching the Chiefs backline play. There's something very, very special. It starts with the platform with their forwards. I've mentioned it many times. The way they run at the angle, which gives D-Mac the opportunity to get to his outside and inside backs. Brad Weber's explosive at 9. Charlie Nartai, just watch him in the 22 folks out there, because he just crashes it like a bull at a gate. He's one of those crash-running inside centres. The Chiefs, for me, I love watching him play. And yeah, as you mentioned, that back line, they won't be afraid to match it with the Hurricanes either.
No, and with Lamapi opposite Nartai, we're talking two of the best crash ball centres. At least in New Zealand, obviously Sonny Williams is another one of those. Also up front, I mean, Brody Retallick was there last weekend, but he's there again. We see Sam Cane back, Nathan Harris back. It's not quite a first choice front 8, but it's definitely better than last weekend.
I could just hear Akadaka playing Thunderstruck with all these boys back in town to play. And I tell you what, it's a good thing that they had a bit of a break last week, because they'll be ready to go this week in the finals, because it's sudden death for these two sides.
It absolutely is. It is do or die. And one of the things that Colin Cooper was mentioning was that it was important for him to name his side early in the week. He wanted to have a settled week of preparation. Sorry, it's going to cough. And so there are another 5 players that were mentioned in the paper that are that are sort of coming back from injury, that will be available for any semi-final if they make it. That he deliberately didn't want to push for this game, who could have made this game, but he didn't want to be having late fitness tests. He wanted a settled side that was fully prepared for this game. So that was interesting to hear. And yeah, it's going to be this one should be a cracker. I will be watching this one live, and we'll be doing post-match reactions. So do join me for that one. So 2 great sides. Which way are you going? Are you leaning for this one?
Well, I'm going to make the people in Hamilton and Rotorua very happy. I'm going to go the Chiefs by 1.
Chiefs by 1. Well, I've gone Chiefs by 3. We've had a bit of a mixture from the live chat where we've had people saying for both sides, and I think, as you can see, with us, Jack's gone Hurricanes by 3, Alex Chiefs by 5. So you can see, no one's going for more than the score. So this one really could come down to the bounce of the ball, one moment of magic, and there's plenty of players here who have got the ability to do a bit of magic. And yes, I'd say I've Chiefs by 3. A little comment there in the chat about when still not seen Geordie Barrett at number 12, and Alex was saying, and Jack saying that if he wants to play 12, he'll have to move somewhere else. Look, I think Geordie's backing himself to play to be an All Black number 12, and first choice All Black number 12. That's what he's backing himself to be, and so he's not going to worry about a club competition. I mean, no matter how good Lamap he is, he's not going to worry about the fact that he can't get past somebody to get into that 12 jersey if he thinks he can be the All Blacks 12. Let's be honest.
Do you feel he's done okay at 13?
I'm not convinced with him at 13. But then we're talking. It's just the having the extra time from 15 to choose where and when he injects himself. It's a bit like Damien McKenzie. It's taken him at least half, if not 3/4 of the season to actually get comfortable in that 10 jersey. And again, let's be honest, Super Rugby is a big step up from Mitre 10 Cup, and the amount of time you get there if you're in those closer lines is much less. And I think it would take a few games, or maybe half a season for him to get comfortable, and for us to really see what he can and what he can't do there, to be honest. Yeah. So next up, we have the Crusaders versus the Shox, and we've not got the Shox lineup yet, as we normally don't by the South African teams for these ones, but we do have the Crusaders one, and good to see Franks and Taylor back, but no Moody.
Well, it's always good to see Big Frank's back, and Taylor's a very, very good, probably the best hooker in the competition, in my opinion. No Moody. Why is that, Paul? Is that due to injury, or?
Yeah, so Moody, I think it's down to injury, because any suspensions and stuff have all gone, haven't they? So yes, I think he's missing because of injury. That's why, I mean, him and Franks have had a lot of time out of the game this season. I mean, for Franks, it's not going to be it's lack of game time. You're only kind of worry. It's not going to be about it's not going to be about him being tired at this time.
It's about enjoying the run out, isn't it?
Well, he needs to run out. He needs the game time. My concern will be that he is undercooked potentially. We also see Scott Barrett come back. Now, there's a man who has needed a week off for rest and will come back better. Unlike Franks, who's had plenty of time there. And it just means that they've got a stronger bench with Alatoa coming off the bench. You've got and Luke Romano. That bench is scarily strong, isn't it?
Oh, it is, and of course, none other than my good mate Wyatt Crockett as well. It's scary what the Crusaders have got on their bench as finishers, as well as what they've put on the park for years. I've hid under the blankets many times when the Crusaders have played Aussie sides. They're immense. They're fantastic to watch. Looking forward to getting down to the Courthouse Hotel and meeting the guys and watching the game and having a good yarn over it.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that there's going to be probably one favourable result.
Yeah, there's only one result, isn't there? Let's be honest. Sure, yes, the Crusaders are missing a couple of players in the in their pack, maybe, but the back line of Bryn Hall, Moanga, Crotty, Goodhue, and then Bridge, Tomonovalu, and Havali in the backs is their first choice back line. Sure, Israel Dagger's dropped out of the matchday 23 entirely, but with Matueli, Mitchell Drummond's come off the bench. Yeah, it's a very it's a nice place to be. The unbiased rugby. Oh my word! I took my crazy pills. Set my Super Bruce for Shox to win by 5. Yes, unbiased rugby. I'm afraid those are crazy pills, and I think you're going to be the only person who doesn't go for Crusaders. I mean, Alex and Jack have both gone Crusaders by 20 in the chat. This Shox team, they did beat the Blues in Auckland. They had a decent second run out in New Zealand. They've got players like the Beast who popped I can't remember who it was last weekend. One of the Hagiwaras. The Hagiwaras prop totally out of the scrum last weekend. They're no mugs, are they? The Shox, really?
No, they're not. The Sharks, they're a side that can play rugby. People, they can play some very good rugby. They beat 3 out of 4 New Zealand sides in the home and away season, and nearly beat the Hurricanes. It took some ill discipline there to lose to them. So I just think, though, the travel this week and the preparation that would have taken out of them against the Crusaders is just probably a little bit too much to ask. And if I'd love to see the Sharks turn up, get physical, match it with the Crusaders, but I think that the home ground advantage in Christchurch is probably going to be way too much for an ask.
Yep, no, you've got to agree with that. One of the things that the Crusaders have managed to do is they've managed to rest players for last weekend, whereas the Sharks was still trying to qualify it, and so had to put out their full strength side. So everyone had to play. You say that travel factor is massive. Whilst you say they won 3 out of 4 games against New Zealand opposition, true, but they only won 1 game away from home all season.
And they haven't faced Crusaders this year.
And they haven't faced Crusaders either. So they haven't. Their away form has been woeful this season. And let's also be honest. They are the team. They're definitely going to be nominated as one of the most disappointing teams this season. We were expecting them to be challenging the challenging the Lions for top place in this conference, and they've never been in that situation. They've never been out of the races this season. So I can't. It's maybe, and just maybe, as Andre says in the chat, with those wins over those New Zealand teams, maybe we'll be more competitive than we're perhaps giving them credit for. But they haven't been putting in the results for us that would correctly give us that belief. I don't believe.
No, well, when they came and played the Rebels, for example, in Melbourne, there was a lot of guts, but the Rebels ran all over them. And the next week, when they went to Canberra, they were lucky to get the bonus point for finishing within 7. Harawa from the Brumbies just kicked penalties from almost either half of halfway, mate. So, I mean, those are 2 big games that they should have really been a lot closer in. So they fumbled a lot of games, and to be honest, You know, I like the Sharks and respect them wholeheartedly as a team, but they were very lucky that the last game of the season went their way too. You know, and they're very lucky to be in the 8.
They are, and we'll get on to the Hagiwaras and their South African form later. But so we're all going Crusaders there. But maybe by not maybe it's not the thrashing. Maybe I managed to talk myself into believing it's actually not going to be the thrashing that I thought it was going to be. After that, we have the Waratahs hosting the Highlanders, and looking at the Waratahs lineup, pretty much first choice in there, except obviously missing Hooper still to injury.
Well, Hooper was missed at the breakdown, particularly in Sydney last week against the Brumbies. And I think I mentioned last week, Aussie rugby fans know the Brumbies will be up for anything when it comes to a derby. And they're usually up for anything anyway. They're a very good side. So the loss will have hurt the Waratahs, and they've got to, but they've got to get on with it. And chaps, you've got to get on with it because you're playing the Highlanders with some very big name players coming back in, particularly the two Smiths.
Yeah, and before we move on to the Highlanders, starting lineup, there's lots of Wallabies in there. The back line looks absolutely fine with Phipps, Foley, Beale, Rona, and then Naivoro, Newsom, Folau. And Naivoro currently the leading try scorer in the competition. It's up front where we got the big question marks, and are they a bit lightweight? And particularly when we look at what's coming off the bench in sort of Brad Wilkin, only four Super Rugby caps to his name. Tom Stanley fourth, 16. So you got to. It's that bench doesn't fill you with confidence, and they're going to need a big shift by that starting 8, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I think my old school mate Paddy Ryan's on the bench for the Waratahs. Hey mate, so he's.
So you went to school with Paddy Ryan?
I did. I did. I saw his parents the other day. They're great people. Paddy's a great bloke. I think when they're just look, the leadership in their starting 8 obviously has got to be spot on. I think Rob Simmons has had a good last few weeks. He's been at the top of his game. I think Hannigan has been as well. We've seen Will Miller, really a potential Wallaby for the future, but he's probably going to have a lot of work cut out this week at the breakdown. Excuse me. There's a fight on their hands, and they would have wanted to have gone into this game beating the Brumbies last week, which would have helped their confidence immensely. The back line is a wonderful back line with Beale and Foley and Folau, and Israel Folau's got to focus on the game, obviously, and not the juicy contract Dust Queenslanders are looking to table to him next year. So it's the ball's in their court, Paul.
No, I think the Highland side haven't been great, as it's been mentioned in the chat. But last weekend they did rest a whole bunch of players, and we are seeing Ben Smith, Aaron Smith, Luke Whitelock, Elliot Dixon, Ash Dixon, and Rob Thompson all come back into the match day 23 with Ash Dixon on the bench. The rest of those guys starting. Rob Thompson, a lot of people saying the best centre in the competition. Luke Whitelock, obviously, the starting All Black for the June Internationals. Aaron Smith and Ben Smith, massive players to lose. Naholo showed a bit more form last weekend. this is a team that is actually that whilst they haven't shown their best form, maybe that weekend off was what quite a lot of those players needed.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, you'll always find with people like Aaron and Ben Smith that they will just be confident from the get-go. Ben Smith, I just right over Folau's a fullback, actually. Folau's a very good fullback. Ben Smith is, I believe, the world standard. So, you'll have a very attacking back line. They can put points on. They can defend very well, as it's been proven many times. 3 years ago, a standard gauge was that when these two met at the semi-final level, was that the Waratahs started as favourites, being the champions from 2014, and it turned out to be a big Highlanders victory. You never underestimate the Highlanders. If you do, it's at your own peril.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we've also got people. I mean, like this is Limas Wanga's last hurrah. Can he leave with a second Super Rugby title under his belt? He'll be looking at trying to go as deep as possible before he gets an off season. And you got these Ty Walden, Rob Thompson, two young guys in there. But again, it's going to require that front eight to win the breakdown battle with Liam Esquire, James Lenties and Luke Whitelock. It's a bit surprised to see Shannon Frizzell on the bench and not starting. Obviously was in the All Blacks setup for June. So yes, there's also, and with Elliot Dixon also on that bench and Ash Dixon, there's also some quality to come off that bench. So yeah, this is a Highlanders tie that will go the full 80. And if the Tars, and one of the things we've said is that Tars bench doesn't look the strongest. So yeah, look at if this is close, come 60 minutes, then it's going to be definitely Highlanders' favourites because they do have the better bench, particularly in the forwards, I believe.
Yeah, and those bench players for the Highlanders will get plenty of minutes, probably from 50 onwards to the 80. With those three players you mentioned, I think Tolu Ladu and Paddy will probably get 25-30 minutes off the bench themselves. So the work rate and of the shifts will be an element as to how the game's won. I'm actually, to be honest, I'm going for the Highlanders here, and I'm putting double digits as a victory.
So how many? How big are double digits?
Well, they won by 18 in that 2015 game that I mentioned, so I'm going to go close to 15 to 18 this time.
Wow, Alex has gone for Highlanders by 7. Jack Darby has Highlanders by 15. Christian's gone Highlanders by 12. So they're all with you. Rugby Nation, he's gone Tars by 8, and Andre's gone Tars by 5. So there are some home supporters as well in there. Personally, I've gone Highlanders by 5. The home advantage, plus also that I say the Highlanders haven't shown great form coming into this one, so there's a bit of an unknown as to how they're going to play. I'm going Highlanders by 5 in this one, and we'll see how that pans out. Final game of the round, and so far we've been on the same side of the coin on all these picks. Is the Lions versus the Hagiwares. Now, coming out of the international break, we thought the Hagiwares had a good chance of overtaking the Lions to that top spot. But we haven't got the lineups for either of these two teams because they'll probably be announced in a couple of hours' time. But one of the we thought the Hagiwares could overtake the Lions, but the Hagiwares' form in South Africa has really let them down. It has been poor. They haven't won a game in South Africa this season. All their 4 away wins were in Australia and New Zealand. That's got to be a concern for them going into this game, hasn't it?
Yeah, particularly the fact that they had a 19-0 lead against the Bulls in Pretoria 2 weeks ago and blew it like they would in Vegas. This is a very good side. They are, to be honest, the success story of this campaign in terms of what they've achieved, given that the underachievement in the last couple of years. They had that big run. Now the honeymoon period is over. So it's back to nitty gritty, and the Lions are like the Hurricanes, and in many respects they got a good mobile forward pack, and their backs are exciting, and they're dangerous if you make mistakes. So no doubt the Jaguares will match them physically in the forwards. It'll be up to them to offer enough creativity for the backs, and that's where it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to points and discipline for me, Paul.
Yeah, I've got to be concerned by the Hagiwara's form in South Africa. I mean, Brent has said that Jags have lost confidence, it seems, after getting lashed by Wales. But obviously that was the Pumas, not Hagiwaras, but they're very similar members of the team. But they came back after that June break, won their home game quite convincingly, and which meant they'd won 7 on the trot, 2 in Australia, 2 in New Zealand, then 3 at home, and everything looked fine heading off to South Africa. And then they lost to the Sharks and then lost to the Bulls, as you say. Lost to the Bulls and then lost to the Sharks. 19-0 up against the Bulls off the back of 7 consecutive wins, and you're thinking, yep, everything's in ship shape, everything's rolling fine, and then it just fell apart, and they haven't managed to get things back together again. The one thing I would put in the Hagiwara's camp, though, is the Argentinians have shown that time and again that emotion can be a really big factor for them. We saw that with that win in South Africa. Was it last year or the year before, when it was an anniversary? They had a lot of the original players from that anniversary game there, and they stood up and they beat the Box. This is the first time the Hagiwaras have made the finals. There will be a lot of emotion. There will be a lot of stuff, a lot of things in there.
A lot of team spirit. Yeah.
A lot of team spirit in this. And to me, that's the only thing that's given me any kind of hope that the Hagiwaras could win this one. To me, is that emotion factor.
Well, when you talk about emotion, I think of Proud Mary rolling down the river, and that's what they got to do. They got to listen to that song before they start the game, and feel that energy, feel that team spirit, and just go out there and because the Jaguares are the only side from the Argentinian nation, they're also going to try and do Argentina proud as well. And I know that Argentinian sides are very physical. They're not going to give up easy. They're going to fight for every scrap and never give up. And that's what they got to do. And they got a good set of forwards. Moyano, I think from memory is Moyano their leading try scorer.
I'm not sure about that one, but
Moyano. Forgive me.
But no, it's good. If you're a coach, come to the DrivingMaul Coaching Tips And as we said earlier on, that Tanomanga needed to be playing Let's Get Physical in the changing rooms before the Blues went out. And now we have the song for the Hagiwaras before they go out. Yeah, it's all about the song you play in the changing rooms. And then that's all that matters in coaching. And you get the best coaching tips here on DrivingMaul. So, no, it is the Hagiwaras back line with Boffelli, etc. Are exciting. Yes. And you've got to say that the Lions are. The Lions have not been the side they were the last 2 years. Let's be honest. The loss of Ackerman as a coach has definitely they've definitely felt that. Now the only question, so for me, the big thing that to upset the Lions here would be if they can get after Yankees and knock him off his game, because he's shown he is someone who doesn't like the pressure. So that's what they would have to do. But I mean, I do take Alex's point in the chat. If they can't beat the lesser South African teams in South Africa, then how can we expect them to beat the top South African side in South Africa? And it's very true. So hence, I'm going to go Lions by 3. I don't have a lot of confidence. I say the Lions. My confidence in the Lions has been shot. I mean, losing to the Blues at home is shocking. I'm a Blues supporter, so. That was that's and only beating Sunwolves by I think it's like 2 points at home is shocking as well. Those kind of results are the ones that mean I've lost faith in this Lions side. They aren't the same team they were, but also the fact that the Jaguares haven't won in South Africa this year, and they've played all 4 South African sides there, raises a big question mark as to how they can get up over the Lions. So I guess in some ways, I can't see either side winning this one. It's a question of which one's going to lose it most.
Well, which cat is hungrier looking for the prey? I think for me, Paul, you're right. The Ackerman factor this year hasn't been there. We have a saying here in the land of Oz that no one remembers who finishes runners-up. They only remember who came first, who won the thing. And there's sloppy seconds, but I've never heard of sloppy thirds, so they don't really want to finish runners-up again this year. And mate, I love watching the Lions. They are a good side. They can play some fantastic rugby when they are on top of the world, but my confidence in the Lions has also been a bit wary. I think they'll win by about 7, but it'll be tough, physical, but I'm still. This is the game I'm looking forward to the most.
So I mean, Andre is expecting the Lions to win this one. Unbiased Rugby's gone Lions by 8. Christian's gone Jaguares by 2. So there are a couple out there who think that Jaguares will win, but yeah, it will definitely be an upset if the Jaguares do win. To be fair, the Lions have got the experience at this level. The Hagiwaras haven't won in South Africa, and it's at altitude in Joburg. Yeah, Lions. But I've gone by 3 purely because I've lost faith to a certain degree in what they're doing there. So we've agreed on all 4 games then. So everybody, it's going to be the Chiefs, the Crusaders, the Highlanders, and the Lions winning these games. So we can expect then that the Crusaders will be hosting the Chiefs and the Lions will be hosting the Highlanders come next weekend. So there we go. That's the that's your DrivingMaul predictions. Please do. We're not pro gambling here, so please don't take that to the bookies. And definitely don't use any money that you can't afford to lose. So there you go. That's our predictions and our preview. This week. Any other things you're kind of looking forward to this weekend?
Well, no, it's just one of those things, finals fever. And, it's a different kind of Saturday night fever to those that are going to the discos. But we love it. And, let's get into it and see how we go.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the opening game tomorrow night, the Hurricanes versus the Chiefs. I'll be watching that one live, and I'll try and get on straight away after that game for post-match reaction. So please do join me then tomorrow night, straight after the game. I'll be across all these channels, YouTube, Periscope/Twitter, and Facebook. So get in there and join me and let me know your comments about the game. Always up for Go Rugby Chats. You can catch me at DrivingMaul on Twitter, or comments down below on whichever platform you're watching. Please do share, like, thumbs up, heart, all of that kind of wonderful stuff. We really do appreciate your support in this of our content. And hey, there's no point doing it if you guys aren't going to watch and provide feedback. So please do. It is all appreciated. And also, actually, this also goes out as a podcast. I forgot that. So if you prefer listening rather than watching, don't forget you can also get it on your favourite podcasting apps. And obviously you can leave us a 5-star review and all that kind of stuff on there. That would be amazing. So please do. And enjoy first, Shane, I'm sorry. Thank you, sir, for being my guest tonight and part of the team and joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me, Paul. I really enjoyed coming on and talking about a very intriguing final series.
And don't forget, you can see below, just like you can beneath me there, my Twitter handle, Shane's Twitter handle's there as well, Scholarmate. So catch it, hit him up on Twitter if you want to talk rugby as well. We'd both love to have a rugby chat. So enjoy whatever rugby you're watching this weekend.